Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking open what we're calling the Dark Files. This is a collection of really chilling, first-hand accounts, stories about encounters with things that just can't be explained. And these aren't just urban legends. They come straight from the people who swear they lived through them. So, let's see what's waiting for us inside.
Our first journey takes us to this desolate highway, a stretch of road between Ghazipur and Varanasi. Now, this isn't your average road trip. It's lined with these incredibly dense trees that lock together overhead, creating this canopy. It's so thick it makes it feel like twilight, even in the middle of a sunny day. You know the kind of place, it just feels wrong from the start.
So, picture this. On this exact road, you've got two guys, Roshan, the truck driver, and his helper, Ram. They're just making their way through this gloomy stretch, listening to music, when a car zips past them, and in the back seat, just for a second, they catch a glimpse of this beautiful girl wearing a blue dress.
Okay, so a few kilometers down the road, they see a girl standing on the shoulder, trying to flag them down for a ride. Roshan, the driver, he's about to pull over, but Ram, his helper, gets this really bad feeling. He's like, no, man, it could be a trap, robbers. So they speed up and keep going. But then, a couple of kilometers later, they see the exact same girl, and then it happens again.
This is where things get really weird. Ram is absolutely terrified, and he points out this chilling, impossible fact. Their truck is moving at a steady 50, 60 kilometers an hour. No one has passed them, so how on earth is she getting ahead of them every single time? Something is seriously wrong here.
So after about 20 more kilometers, the sightings just stop. They're shaken up, but they're also getting hungry. And then they see the faint lights of a little roadside eatery, a dhaba. They weren't even planning to stop, but then they see it parked right outside. That same car, the one with the girl they saw at the very beginning. For Roshan, the chance to see her again was just too much to pass up.
They go inside, order some biryani, and start telling the owner about the crazy thing that just happened to them. The owner's face just goes grim. He tells them this local story, a horrible one, about a girl who was murdered on that very stretch of road just 6 months ago. Two men in a car offered her a lift, and her body was found later near a village called Rupur.
He tells them her ghost now haunts that road. If you ignore her and just keep driving, you're fine. But the people who stop for her, well, they're always found later, dead in these awful, twisted accidents. He says her ghost, it takes them.
Just as the owner is finishing this terrifying story, Roshan's chewing his food and feels something rock hard in his mouth. He spits it out into his hand, figuring, it's just a pebble that got into the rice pot. Happens all the time, right?
But it wasn't a stone. It was a ring, and Roshan recognizes it instantly. It's the same ring he saw on the girl's finger earlier. A wave of sickness just washes over him. He looks down at his plate, and there, mixed in with the rice and meat, is the rest of it. The finger. Before either of them can even scream, they both just black out. And the very last thing they hear is the dhaba owner shouting to his helper, Ramu, put the pot on. We won't be short on food tonight.
All right, so for our second story, we're leaving that haunted highway and heading to a really remote village. This is a place where just asking a simple question unearths this deep, terrifying secret that the whole community has been trying to bury for years. The person telling this story is a city worker. They're on business. And he notices this really strange thing right in the middle of the village. An old well, totally sealed shut with these huge wooden planks, all held down by a heavy, rusted chain and a lock. He just casually asks someone, hey, why is that covered up? And boom, a wall of immediate, fearful silence. He starts to realize this village has a weird vibe. During the day, everyone is quiet, tense. They all rush inside before the sun even sets. But at night, that's when the silence is broken. He hears these unsettling sounds on the wind, faint crying, and even creepier, the distant laughter of little kids, and it all seems to be coming from the direction of that well.
Finally, this old man sees how persistent our narrator is, and he pulls him aside to tell him the truth. 20 years ago, the village was hit by a terrible drought, and during that time, kids started to just vanish, one by one. The search finally ended when they found a single child's slipper right at the edge of the well. They heard screaming from inside, but when they lowered ropes, they found nothing but dark water.
You know how it is that morbid curiosity can be a powerful thing. So one night, the narrator just can't take it anymore. He sneaks through the sleeping village, right up to the well. As he gets closer, the air turns ice cold. And then he hears it. Not crying this time, not laughter, whispering, coming from right under those sealed planks.
But it wasn't just random whispering. There were multiple voices, all sounding like children, and they were all whispering his name. A name he knows for a fact he has never told a single soul in this entire village.
He's completely frozen, just paralyzed with fear. And that's when he sees it. Something is pushing its way up through a tiny gap between the warped wooden plex. It's a small, decayed hand. A child's hand, all gray and rotting, like it's been in the water for a very long time.
He runs, he packs his bags, and is gone at first light. The village headman basically tells him he has to leave. And as he's going, that old man who told him the story gives him this one last, chilling warning. Now they have seen you. But the story doesn't end there. Back in the city, he says he's still haunted. In the middle of the night, he hears the sound of dripping water and the laughter of children. The well. It came with him.
Okay, our last account is a short, sharp shock. This isn't one of those slow-burning dread stories. This is a fleeting, absolutely terrifying encounter on a dark path that changes everything in a single, heart-stopping moment.
So you've got two brothers, Chiru and his older brother Diru. They're walking home through the fields at night, just talking, laughing, not really paying much attention. And they notice a figure on the path up ahead of them, a woman dressed in a simple white sari.
At first, they don't really think anything of it. But in the time it takes to blink, the woman vanishes from the path ahead. And in that same exact instant, she reappears directly next to Chiru, the younger brother. She's just standing there, weeping, with her face totally hidden by her sari.
Chiru is stunned. He turns to look at his older brother, Diru, for some kind of explanation, but Diru's gone. He whips his head back around and sees him already way down the path, sprinting for his life and screaming back at him with absolute terror in his voice, "Run!"
So 3 totally different stories, right? 3 encounters with something completely inexplicable. These aren't just spooky stories to tell around a campfire, they're presented as real warnings, passed down from person to person. And they all seem to share these common threads about the dangers that are hiding just out of sight.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? It feels like they're all trying to teach us the same basic rules that you hear in folklore. The warnings that have been around for generations. They're reminding us that you never stop for a stranger on a lonely road, that some strange sounds in the night are best left alone, and that some places you should just leave them be. But maybe the most terrifying lesson of all is that sometimes the horror doesn't stay where you found it. It can follow you home.
And that leaves us with one last really unsettling thought. These stories tap into a kind of fear that we all understand, no matter where we're from. So the question is, when we brush these off and say, oh, it's just a story, are we just trying to make ourselves feel safe? Or are we actually ignoring a warning that something in the darkness is trying to whisper to us?